Okay, welcome back. Welcome. I'm going to let everyone introduce each other because sometimes I'm not good with names. But welcome back to Liverpool's Black Men's Group. The last topic we were talking about was the politics of black hair and the problems we face with our hair. I see we have a brother here who may not have any hair under their hat, but that's cool. But if you didn't get a chance to watch the first podcast, we were talking about things like how we, even ourselves as black people, because of the days of slavery and all of these type things and colonialism and what we may call now white supremacy, that made us look at ourselves, our hair, and not really have nothing that black is beautiful, So when I was growing up, all of my sisters straightened their hair. From my mother, the hot comb, the hot iron, they put it on the fire and they straighten out the hair, because they thought that this was how to look beautiful, So anyone who had tight hair was seen as, you got bad hair, That hair is not good. Why? Because it's too much like African hair, It's too nappy, you know what I mean? So these is when that black consciousness started to come within black people. And we started saying, no, black is beautiful. So the expression that I first got into was the afro. And just like we were talking about Christianity and stuff in the last podcast, is that when black people in the 1930s, at the dawn of the Second World War, seeing the image of the Ethiopians, most Ethiopians had this big afro. And that's where the afro comes from, which a lot of people don't realize. So it's from the 1930s. So by the time it becomes really popular in the 50s and the 60s, you look at them images of black people in America, throughout Britain, and this big afro, the bigger you can grow it with, the better, And that was the first form of, this is our ear. This is how we want to express ourselves. We don't want to no longer be dominated and told how we look beautiful. The afro was a beautiful thing, and everyone, you must have all seen Angela Davis and these type of people, the Jackson 5, with all their afros, and that just made such an impact growing up to me in this country. And then that transition came with the dreadlocks, So I just want to throw it out there to when we were growing up you could say this started from the days of slavery, coming right through to the 60s, 70s, because even then, the afro was a black power symbol and a symbol of identity, but we still had the majority of us still not really embracing it, and it took such a long time before we can embrace our own, whether it be cultural wear, from clothing to hairstyle and so on. So I just want to throw it out, and anyone can take up the question. So we want to see what youngsters in particular are dealing with in 2021 when it comes to black hair, How is it perceived?
So from my own personal experiences, I've come from a white deprived area, so never really seen anyone with curly hair or big hair.
Right.
So usually my mum would throw my hair in two plaits, because from the time I was about 4, it started puffing out.
Okay.
Like this big afro. So to even get it into two big bunches was really difficult. So it was kind of wanting to straighten my hair, and also having 2 sisters, they would get the ironing board out.
Wow.
And iron their hair.
Sorry, I forgot to ask you your name. Sorry.
Introduce myself, Alisha.
Alisha, okay.
Yeah.
So what age is this when your sisters are doing this?
So I must have been about 4 and they must have been about 20.
Okay.
20 to 20, in the early 20s. So me seeing that from a young age was kind of like, wow, these are my role models. So I said to my sister, get the straighteners in my hair, let's try this out. And it just become a thing with regularly wanting to straighten my hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of seen as beauty?
That's what I seen as beauty as well, seeing all the other girls in school with straight hair. I was like, why can't my hair be like that?
Right, okay, yeah. Okay. Anyone else want to?
So with
your name first?
Oh, hi, I'm Macy. For me, I'm mixed race, so my mum's white and I have an older sister as well. And although my mum tried to learn a lot about black hair and how to care for our hair, I think my sister chose the easier route of just relaxing her hair, and now she has straight hair, whereas I embraced having curly hair a bit more. And then I think, like Alisha, you'll probably be very familiar as well with the whole natural hair movement that's happened in the past like 5 to 10 years. I think that because my sister's a bit older, her generation was a bit more, had more straight hair like your sisters, Alisha. Whereas for me and Alisha, we're in our early 20s, we're in this whole natural curly hair movement where everyone embraces having curly hair and is just free to embrace who they are through their hair. Which is why I think us two both rock having curly hair now and love having curly hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
To mention it, it hasn't always been embracing curly hair, because as you can see, I've got colour in my hair, which actually isn't natural. So I've never been through the stages of relaxing it, but I have been through stages of bleaching it, and I must have been about 13 when I went to get it bleached, and my mum went completely nuts because all of my hair snapped. So I'm just slowly starting to embrace the natural hair.
The natural form of hairstyle and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's crucial because, like you say, there has been a massive influence in the last 5 to 10 years of especially, and it always seems to come through the women, you know, of expressing that natural beauty, you know, because like I say, for many black women, even in my day growing up, if the hair was too tight, maybe the black men didn't want to look at them, and maybe they thought, you know, I maybe have to straighten it to get a man to fancy me, to look at me or whatever, you know. So there was a lot of stigma around even just having an afro or even growing dreadlocks and stuff like that, because in the 70s, dreadlocks was just not acceptable, you know, and it's hard for people to even envision that now, you know, because so many people have dreadlocks now, you know, it's become a symbol of almost resistance, you know, because every nation, people dread the hair now and have these type of dreadlocks and so on and so forth. But Curtis, I'd like to hear your thoughts on...
Yeah, man. Well, the reason I wanted to come on this wasn't for the same reason as these, obviously.
Yeah.
But I felt like there was a story to tell because, well, let me just, I think I just got a photo already, so people just as evidence that I did one self-hair.
I think most people who do know you, Curtis, knew
so
that you had
that's me
hair.
when I was, you know, like 4 or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, show it to the camera.
Yeah, man. So that's
and he will zoom in.
Yeah, man. So like I was living with the white side of my family, my mum's family in Bootle.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And like I never ever. Now that's me hair scruffy. My mum used to get the big fork, the big long fork, and she used to like warm it up and pick me hair out if we didn't have an afro pick.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'm at the classic, you know, with the green and
yeah,
like
stainless steel one, yeah.
Yeah, man. And then so like for me nan had hair that looked a lot like mine. She used to pay me and put rollers in and all that kind of business. You know what I'm saying? So when we moved to Toxteth, like a few years in, we moved to Toxteth when I was like nearly 6, and when I was 10, I was with a friend just walking down to the cathedral. We used to go and hang out in the cathedral cemetery and all that. And you know, when those, if you put them in your back pocket, they'd snap. Yeah, man. Then police stopped us, and there was like 3 prongs left on it.
Okay.
And I was literally used to have it in my hair, or just like get it out and pick. And he was saying like, oh, you can stab somebody with this and all this, and like threatening us with like, you know, arresting us and stuff. My friend had nunchucks because remember everybody used to make them.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward into when I was in my teens, like say 14, 15. I started like wanting to grow dreadlocks, but because I lived with the white side of my family, and it wasn't like they had like a sort of caste system in my family. Like I didn't meet most of my family. I didn't even know what they looked like on the white side, because I found out when I was 10 that it was because my great grandmother and a few other people were like embarrassed that they had black in the family.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I really wanted to grow dreadlocks at one point, but I thought my family would like take the mickey out of me for it, or sort of look down on it. And so yeah, I've got no hair now. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, we used to style our hair, we used to wet look our hair, all that kind of thing. Back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was obsessed with gel at one point.
Yeah.
It's the bad Ross days, you know what I'm saying?
Everything but natural kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's, I just wanted to tell that because it's relevant to, it's like, now these are almost slightly different things, but things that I can relate to a certain degree.
How do you girls find school when you went to school and stuff like that? Was your hair ever a problem in school? Or how you had it?
Well, when I was in primary school, so younger, my mum used to just she'd just gel it back into a plait and just keep it off my face. And then when I went to secondary school, I started trying to do my own hair, so it used to just look like a bush when I went to school, like every day. And then, yeah, I'd just have it tied back. So personally, I didn't have issues with people saying things to me. I had issues with people touching my hair a lot, which still happens today. And I have to repeatedly say to people, please don't touch my hair. But when I was in school, I just remember I had another friend who had curly hair, kind of like yours, Alisha. And she'd come to school, she'd combed it all out to make it all look like big. And a teacher said, you need to go and wet your hair and put it in a bun now. You can't have your hair like that to school. And like, that was her natural hair, like with no product in it. She'd just come to school with it like that. And a teacher's saying, you can't have your hair like that to school. And I think, well, that's actually a form of discrimination because this is who she is. Like, I wouldn't go up to a girl who had straight hair and say, you can't wear your hair like that. Like, because that's her hair that grows from her head.
Exactly, yeah.
Definitely.
So,
I can completely relate with Macy. Most of the time, my hair would be tied back because the school, one of the teachers kind of said to me once, you can't have it out, it's inappropriate because your hair's kind of too big. So it come to a point where my mum wasn't really, she wasn't really had much knowledge on curly hair.
Okay.
So it was kind of like my sister having to brush it back and me screaming and gel it. Kind of when I was in high school, I did go through a stage where I thought I would try to embrace it more, but it was still experimenting with colours and straighteners. And I would say more when I got to about 17 to 18, I would embrace natural curls. And especially I met Macy and I thought, wow, who's this girl with beautiful natural hair? She had never dyed it. So being around Macy kind of inspired me to have my hair more natural.
Right, yeah. It's a good point because this thing of touching our hair has always been here. You know, there's many a times my mum would be taking us out, me and my younger brother Patrick, going to town to buy clothes or whatever, and you just get English people coming up saying, oh, aren't they lovely, they're cute, can I touch his hair? And the type of stuff like, you know, like with some kind of...
well, it was seen as good luck, wasn't it, going back into folklore?
Good point, Curtis, yeah.
That's why, you know, the chimney sweeps. Used to like invite a chimney sweep and shake their hand. If they shake your hand and it rubs off on you, that's good luck. So it's like all these old, like, you know, folkloric sort of rules that for society. It's not like weird, but my grandmother, like, mum's mum, she, like I said, she had hair like mine because she used to put like rollers in it. But she was just olive skin because I don't know whether like Jewish in the family or something. It seems like there might have been, but you know, you can't tell because a lot of them changed their names and things. But I remember when I was about 11 and I said something about my nan being black. She went, I'm not black. Because she had like, you know, almost a bit lighter than me. And like, so again, it was strange being in a family where they were all payment. Do you know what I'm saying? And I used to be like, I go back to Bootle when I used to come out the house, man. If I turned left, come on the way to school, and there were these certain lads there. I remember one of them was ginger, and the rest of them just like, I don't know, these lads, but they'd always call me a gollywog. If they were there, I'd be getting called a gollywog coming out the house. You know what I'm saying? And I never saw any person with an afro or with skin, even my complexion, the whole time until we moved to Toxteth. And that was like a culture shock because I've gone from being like the darkest person I've seen, except for this, I think it was a Pakistani brother and sister who came to me at primary school. To one of the lighter ones when you come to the community, you mean? In Bootle.
Okay,
so they were doing like brown skinned people that I saw there, do you know what I'm saying? I thought they'd be my friends based on that.
Right, okay.
I don't think they understood what I was saying to them. But I was really young, but so, you know, coming to Toxteth, man, that was like another level. Do you know what I'm saying? Starting to see, you know, dreadlocks and all that around all the time and things like that and living on that estate where there was, you know, like Bless 'em Chalky and Levi and all them as well. You know
another aspect of our hair has always been a political statement, even from the days of slavery, because the hair and the song that the slaves sung in the field, Row River Jordan Row and all these type of songs, were runaway slaves would be passing by and they'd be telling them where to go. Even the braiding of the hair or having it out or some form of code would be coded within the hair telling them where to go. So these we used our hair with such initiative, even in the days of slavery with what they call the Underground Railway with Harriet Tubman. I don't know if you heard about it, who freed so many black people, So sometimes if the slaves' hair were braided, it might mean, don't come now. Maybe if the hair was out, combed in a big afro, it might say, yeah, you're free to go, And
I think there was one ribbon codes as well.
There was all kinds of codes,
and all that, man.
A lot of codes. And I think when we try and express ourselves as black people, it's always been a problem to white society in some sense, because even in Jamaica, they used to just shave everybody. At one point, as a slave came, they just shaved the hair. And I feel that once we start to express ourselves culturally, and that's why I say the dreadlocks was a massive, what I see, a cultural expression. And sometimes in our own community, sometimes things become like a fad. So it becomes like a fashion and people don't realize you're making a cultural expression, So I think it's good when we do these things, and we have the natural look. And then all of a sudden we get, no disrespect to the singer, we get Beyonce. And then all the young black girls start thinking, let's go back to the straight hair thing,
Yeah, I can completely relate with that. With hair being attached with a big part of my identity, when I often used to straighten my hair, I used to feel a lot more confident. And when it was blonde as well, I thought this is kind of giving me that white identity, so it gave me that kind of false confidence, but at the same time I didn't really feel like I was me. There's
something just niggling at the back of your
I was trying to be something I actually wasn't, and I look back at pictures and think,
so sometimes the role models that we look up to don't portray what we're trying to be sometimes, and then we get pushed backwards. No disrespect to Beyonce, she's a fantastic artist. All that she's coming from, it's because of her black culture, why she's so dynamic in her presentation, In our day, it was Michael Jackson, from a beautiful, dark skin, like my brother Jay, lovely afro, ended up looking like Elizabeth Taylor. It was like, what's happening, bro, man? You know what I mean? You're a beautiful black man. All of us wanted to look like Michael Jackson, The girls around us wanted us to look like Michael Jackson, and then So sometimes what we call white supremacy, this is the effect of it. We don't love ourselves. We don't love our looks. We don't look our hair. And hair has a very major part in our identity. So anything else you just want to add would be nice.
I actually want to ask a question. Sorry, I'm way over here. You can't see me. But
move the mic to him a little bit.
You've got me. You've got me. I can check the levels here. We're good. So the quick question is, for the younger people here, when I was about 19, 20, everybody was braiding their hair. Like, cornrows and designs and all that sort of thing. Is that still something that's done by you guys? And I see that a lot more white people have been doing these sorts of things as well. Like when I was younger, it was like, you can't do that. But now you see a lot more of that. Do you think there's a thing there?
Good point. Anyone you can answer that?
I think people still definitely braid the hair and things like that. Like, there's a lot of protective styles that I think people do, especially in the summer and in the winter when the weathers are changing, to protect the hair and things like that. However, something that I find that's quite interesting, which kind of links to the discrimination me and Alisha were talking about in school, is certain hairstyles you can't wear in a professional setting.
Right, okay.
And I think that's really interesting. Like, I couldn't go to, like, a particular job with braids or cornrows because it would be seen as unprofessional. So it just links back to that discrimination and kind of almost like that whole policing of black bodies that just seems to happen regularly.
Constantly.
Constantly gets brought up. So, yeah.
Can you braid hair?
I can try. I've never braided
haven't
mine.
tried to
I've got
braid it?
loads of hair.
In all honesty, I've never tried to braid my hair, and relating to what Macy was saying about not feeling comfortable walking into an interview room, I personally feel the same, and I think that might be related to that reason, is just not having the confidence to try different hairstyles out, and that's something that I would really like to look into and learn in the future.
Yeah, and I think this is where we have to force sometimes our identity on the status quo, because, I mean, that's absolutely, it's outrageous that if a sister has braided hair, you know, at one time you couldn't get a job with locks. Now it's more acceptable. Do you know what I mean? In some circles, you know, people might want to say, well, no, you're going to work in a bank, you can't have dreadlocks, you can't have this, you can't have that. But you find out that because dreadlocks has been around for that long time, and people are determined, especially the Rastafarian community, no, I want this job. There's Rastafarian chefs, as you see, like Levi Roots and these type of people, you know, you don't have to cut their dreadlocks to become a chef or have a beard or whatever, you know. So we have to force the issue sometimes, because it's really bad that a sister who may love braids constantly, and then now she wants to go to college, university, or go for the job, and it's like, I've got to take my braids out the night before, you know? Only, and yet you say it's like the policing of our bodies again, you know, telling us how to look and what to look like.
I told Curtis one time, someone close said to me, they think that a black woman with straight hair has got more chance of getting a job rather than a woman with natural hair, and that's something that can be argued against, but I don't think that statement is quite true. I think, you know, we should really embrace being ourselves, and if we've got natural hair, we should have that confidence to walk into a job. Yeah. And if they don't like it, then that's their choice.
Problem. Yeah. You know, and these are the things that usually, for instance, in Jamaica, where my family are from, just recently, people may think of Jamaica and dreadlocks and the Rastaman and all that, but the dreadlocks are very much still discriminated against in Jamaica. A young girl was arrested the other day by police. Rasta girl, about 19, with dreadlocks, and a policewoman cut her hair in the police station for apparently no reason whatsoever, you know. And every year in school term, you'll always hear of a little dreadlock shoot saying he can't come to school, his hair's this or his hair's that, you know. So we get these little things building up sometimes, and we're shocked when we hear it in the Caribbean, you know, because we consider the Caribbean to be a black nations and part of our culture and our identity, as well as Africa. Now and again it goes on here, but it's I think the society is it's scared, because it knows that if we decide, hey, this young girl wants to go into university and become a lawyer, and she just got dreadlocks or she got braids, who are you to tell her she can't be a lawyer? And you know that we'll start to riot, we'll start to march, we will protest and so on, you know. If it takes a riot, it will take a riot. But at the end of the day, you know that black people in this country now know their rights. We will stand up for our rights, and we say, no, why should you discriminate against a young person just because of their hairstyle, you know?
So in Jamaica, where's that mentality coming from?
It's still got that colonial...
Oh, yeah, the legacy.
Legacy. I see somebody posted today, Jay, Barbados has just relinquished the Queen as head of state. Just recently. Yeah. Just very recently. So when we talk about some of the Caribbean islands being independent, as an overlap, in Jamaica, we still have a governor general. So if you have a governor general who represents the Queen, how are you really independent? Because all laws have to go through the governor general and then go back to the Queen. So you're not really independent. Now, Barbados has just made a revolutionary activism by the Queen is no longer head of state. So they've become completely independent. And the rest of the Caribbean islands need to follow this, you know.
I have one other question for the ladies. There's a lot of black men that want to police your hair as well. Like you forever hearing guys that are like, oh, I don't like a girl with fake hair. I don't like a girl with this. I don't like a girl with that. What is your take on that?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
I think personally, there's a lot of hypocrisy around that question, because you do hear a lot of guys saying that they like natural hair, but then I think also there's a lot of pressure on women to have that European look. But is that the question? Is that the guys, or is that us girls? Is it our role models? We've got to be asking these questions. I'm not sure about you, Macy. What do you feel like about that?
I'm not really sure, because I've never actually worn my hair any different. It's always just been curly. But I've heard a lot of other black girls say that they get approached by different kinds of men depending on what hair they have, and I feel like they say if they wear more straight weaves or like curly weaves or whatever, then they get approached a lot more by men, whereas if they have more like braids or locks, like they don't really. So I feel like men do like certain kinds of looks, and I feel like they do like the more European, closer proximity to white look.
I will add on to that though, something that I have noticed is when I do tend to have my hair straight, I tend to get approached more by white men.
Okay.
But if I've got my hair natural and curly, it's more like mixed, and black guys will compliment your locks.
So hair has a big dynamics in our life then, really, on who we attract, who we push away, and who we so it's been a great debate, girls, and I'm glad you've come in. Thank you very much. We still got 4 minutes to go. Okay, I thought we went almost time up, but no, I think that's a great point that Jay has raised. Do we want the what's it called, Beyonce look, or who wears the hair natural? In
Well, there's a question.
I know, because I'm trying to think of black women.
Beyonce's sister Solange actually wears her hair natural.
Oh yeah, she's
so I think it's quite interesting that Beyonce, even though they're sisters, Beyonce's a lot more famous than Solange.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like kind of the message is to be real, but is it kind of actually noticed and recognised when sisters are trying to be real?
Yeah, because I think you made a good point. There's a lot of hypocrisy around this whole thing of hair, because like you say, there's pressure, because you might think I'm not attractive, because like you say, you get more people looking at you when your hair is more straight, or someone wears a wig or whatever, you know what I mean? So there is a lot of hypocrisy around it, and I think it lies with the men and the women, of how we approach it. And I think what it is, it's such a psychological effect of what society puts the pressure on us, so it's hard to maintain that character that you want to be, because, I mean, when I was growing up, there was, I would say, 6 in every young black man had dreadlocks. Now, it's hard to find them with dreadlocks, but and we used to get called nitty head, dotty head. I mean, all kinds of words that you just wouldn't believe, And so it wasn't easy growing your dreadlocks and then taking that, like you say, even from our own black community and then the white community, who would just mock it and and stuff like that. So
see what is a breath of fresh air lately? I've noticed more like black women with their heads shaved, to say like we're a number 3 or something, and like shaving it and letting it grow a little bit, and models and even actors, and what I'm saying, and then you get like more women, you see more women with dreadlocks who are models and stuff that now as well. So there's some.
I don't mean to cut. Yeah, I think what's the lady who played in is it the Django?
Django.
What's the lady, the dark-skinned lady, the slave?
Or
is that 12 years slave?
No, you're thinking about after 12 years a slave.
12 years, yeah. She changed the atmosphere a bit
definitely.
as well, even the whole thing of being dark-skinned and not being able to represent modelling as black women and stuff like that, and the short hair.
Origin, I think she's actually Ethiopian origin.
Maybe I think she's from East Africa somewhere. I don't know if she's Ethiopian.
I think it's Ethiopian.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but she definitely changed the dynamics of because now we see more models on the TV, like you say, with that short hair. Because hair's not always long. It's not always afro. It's not always braided. There's some people with short hair. You know, it's tight and stuff like that. And the whole color complex as well going on there, dark skin, light skin, and these type of things.
Well, might have been Kenya actually. Yeah.
Kenya, okay, yeah, East
more
African,
likely,
yeah. So we need to police our own hair and our own identity, and shape it the way we want to shape it. You know, so like I say, it's been a very interesting debate here, and thank you, Jay, for contributing from the side as well. We've covered a few more topics. If anyone wants to add anything before we close it down, you're free to say one more thing if you'd like to.
Just thank you for the great discussion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, man, interested, and nice one for letting me come, even though I've got no hair.
Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting discussion, and I feel very proud that we're all rocking our natural styles.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, it's true.
Yeah, you too, Curtis.
Even you, Curtis, yeah. No, it's good. And continue these debates with your friends and your peers. Hopefully we can try and even have a part 3. We need to get some young men in here to talk about how they view black women and so on, or hair, black hair in general, what they like about their own hair, what they like about black women's hair. So we probably will be looking at a part 3, because we need some young men in here to really discuss this point. So if you know any young men, give them a shout.
A lot more young men, like you were saying about braiding, would be braiding than young black women.
Yeah, you do see a lot of young lads braiding their hair nowadays. That is so true. Yeah. So it'd be good to, if you know you got any young brothers or older brothers, or I would say from 18 to maybe 35. That's a good age. We need to get them in. So we're out of here. James, thank you. Jay, thank you girls. Thank you, Curtis.